We're checking out Mercedes G500. This is a car, 2004 G500. We're going to look at the underbody. The frame is actually in very impressive condition right from the beginning. As you can see, all the frame rails are very, very solid. As we continue with the rest of the inspection, the frame rails look solid with not even any types of surface. Everything looks great. As we continue on, as we're approaching the rear axle, the reason this car is here, it has a typical issue. For a rusted vehicle, it's typical. For a vehicle where the frame is in this condition, it's certainly not typical. But the rear shock mount rusted away. But we also learned that the shock actually got seized, and we're not sure what happened first, but the spring broke. It actually, you can see it right here. Here's a broken spring. There it is. So we're not sure what happened first, but something caused the spring to break. We also see that the shock is seized, and as a result, it pushed through and ripped off already weakened by rust upper shock mount. The tube that is also rusted will be replaced as well. So what we need to do on this vehicle, we will be replacing the tube and the upper shock mount. The frame is exceptionally strong. There are really no weak areas or concerns. And we're also going to inspect, yeah, you can see the opposite side. The tube is in excellent condition. We're still going to clean everything from rust proof it, and but on the other side, the back tube and the upper spring tower, everything looks great. There's definitely rust on this shock mount. We're going to remove the shock, clean everything out, and make sure it's in good shape. If it isn't, we'll make a recommendation to replace it. But so far it looks okay, but we're going to check it. On the other side, it looked okay also, but it led to this damage. So the spring, when it's not broken, it looks like this, and when it is broken, you can see the bottom pieces of the coil are collapsed, and there's a broken piece. We're going to look at the right side in the rear for the shock mount. The shock mounting bracket consists of outer heavy-duty part and inner metal piece that welded together. On this particular one, as you can see, the inner piece, which is of the thinner metal, but it is rusting out, and the outer part, you cannot see this unless you remove the shocks, and the outer part actually looks pretty nice and strong, and we just hit it a few times. It's rock solid, but there are a couple of ways. Obviously, the long term, probably the best thing would be to replace it, which at this point is accessible. And the tube is very strong. We looked at the thickness, it's all good, and obviously we'll rust proof it. The other option is to remove this inner piece and weld the reinforcement plate and keep the outer housing, which is still very, very strong. So these are the options. Any one of them, if we do it, it will be a good long-term result. Here's the new replacement bracket, and it goes, and you can see this is the inner insert, which is of the thinner metal, and then the outer one is the thicker metal, and they weld around to the, so there would be this part, and on both sides it welds to the tube. the G500 upper shock mount project is moving right along. We already cut out all the rusted parts. You can see them right there. We cut out the tube, and the new tube is going to be going in. And the new tube, as you can see, it has a much thicker than original walls. We're also going to do all the rust proofing. You can see the original one wall thickness is about, I would say, 4 millimeters, and the replacement one, you can see it side by side, is almost twice as thick. And as you can see, and we're going to show you more, there is a flange that's going to be going inside the original one. We're going to be doing more prep work. We are getting the rusted area all prepped for the receival of the new parts. We also discovered inside this pipe there's some rust buildup. Luckily, the pipe itself is still structurally very, very solid. You can see the cross section of the pipe is very healthy. We are going to clean up all that loose rust. We're going to vacuum it out of there and use an extension on the air hammer on both ends of the pipe, and we're going to loosen as much of it as possible. The rear pipe is in better shape. We're still going to do the same thing with it. And there is similar action on the right side. You can see the new bracket right there. The old bracket is cut off. You can see the line, the cross section, and the inner piece was weak, so the owner of the vehicle approved to replace it, even though it could still be salvaged and rust-proofed, but the right way would be to replace it, which we did. And as you can see over here, the tube is in reasonable condition. We're cleaning all the rust, and with the new one, with the new bracket installed over the tube, it will give plenty and all the strength this area is going to need. And as you can see, the tube on the inside, the rear tube, is in great shape, and we're going to clean all that out. We're going to clean all that out and put a lot of rust proofing material, probably fluid film, inside these tubes. More work to come on this project, so stay tuned. As you can see, all bare metal surfaces are now covered and the parts are assembled. And let me show you what we use for bare metal and even for rusted surfaces. This is called Rust Armor by Earth. It is an absolutely amazing product because what this does, it adheres to surface rust or bare metal, and it stays there. It is so incredibly strong once it's dried that we've used it for many, many years. What to keep in mind with this product is that you cannot leave it uncovered. It has to be covered because if it is exposed to UV, to daylight, basically, it is going to come apart and become loose. So this is the product that you use on bare metal or surface rust, and then you cover it with other products. So as you can see, we have the bracket on the right side all set up, nicely welded. All loose rust was removed from all surfaces, and the Rust Armor by Worth was installed. Here is the new tube, and you can see the diameter of the tube right there is substantially greater than the original tube. The original tube is still going to last fine as long as it is protected from rust. You can see how it's welded in right there. The new shocks are installed, original equipment, Bilstein, new springs. So we're gonna wait at least 24 hours, probably gonna wait a little bit longer for the rust armor to completely dry, and then we will apply rust-proof coatings. So we finished up all the repairs on the rear suspension on this G500. We replaced upper mounts for rear shocks that were rusted off, which turns out to be a common problem on these vehicles. So if you watch this entire video, you'll be familiar with it and you'll know how to protect your G-Class from ever be replacing that upper shock mount, which, by the way, is right here. And you can see this is on the right side of the vehicle. You can see it's all new. And we just want to show you in this video that after completion of all the work, we cleaned all the surface. This car did not have much rust at all. What was amazing, all the frame rails and everything else on the car was super solid, with some light surface rust here and there, which we cleaned, treated, and we applied this protective coating, which is a penetrating material. It's called New Hampshire oil, and it's patent technology that is used by this company for many years. We've used them similar to fluid film, but gives you a thicker and for certain applications, like on this one, better coverage. Sometimes we use fluid film where there is more rust. Fluid film penetrates better in our opinion. So as you can see, all the parts are coated. This vehicle is nicely protected, and even when this product washes off in some spots, it still has penetrating qualities, and it penetrated in all porous areas. So you can see how it looks. This is the left side. On this side, on this vehicle, the shock mount was actually broken off. The shock got seized up and it actually pushed the upper mount off the frame. So that's all replaced, and we also replaced the connecting tubes. You'll see it, or if you haven't seen it in the video, we also cleaned out and sprayed penetrating rust preventive material inside the cross member tubes. You can see them right here in the back as well, all the suspension components, and you can see it right here. We even put it on the large and heavy metal parts like axles. You don't really have to, but we applied it so this way, if anytime in the future someone has to do some work, all the hardware is going to come apart easily. You can see the upper spring mounts, frame rail, everything is protected and coated. You can see this front cross member tube, the heavy duty one, that's been cleaned and coated. So we're very happy with the outcome of this work, and this vehicle is going to do very well now that it's protected. But the beauty of this job was that the pretty much all the frame components were structurally solid. It was just the upper shock mounts that needed the repair, and we now know what a vehicle owner has to do to prevent that from rusting. So definitely check out this video and check with us to make sure you know the trick. I'm on my test drive for the G500. We did a pretty major scope of work, mainly on the rear suspension and underbody. We then did extended test drive, identified a few other follow-up items, and the vehicle is ready to ship back to the customer. I just took it out for a test drive, had it on the highway, just coming back to the AlphaCars dealership, and the vehicle feels awesome. It is a 2004. It has a little over 90,000 miles. It has all original body paint, feels awesome, accelerates beautiful, no warning lights, transmission shifts great, steering wheel is straight. There were some concerns with the erratic operation of the driver's seat and power windows, so we took care of that. It needed a driver's door control module that was replaced, and we've been driving the vehicle back and forth to check, and no issues. Everything works fine. Moving the seat now back and forth. Yeah, seat back feels great. Going over bumps, the suspension feels awesome. Touching the brake pedal, smooth, no pulling to either side, no vibrations from the brakes or when driving on the highway. Engine response is awesome. 5.0 liter V8 from Mercedes does a great job on this 163 G-Class. Again, going over some bumpy roads, feels great in the steering. The vehicle stays straight. Yep, more bumps. Hitting the brakes. That's all good. Yeah, so this vehicle was shipped to us. The upper strut mounts, the upper shock brackets rather, were weak and the left side broke off. So there's a whole video segment on that that you can check out. We are approaching AlphaCars and pulling in. A couple of cool vehicles. The Tesla is being charged. One of our Humvees that we're getting ready for spraying, that's getting ready, and we're gonna park the G-Class, and it'll be picked up this week, and it will be on the way to the owner. Let's take a quick walk around the vehicle before we park it. I'm actually going to do one more thing on this. The spare wheel cover, we need to rotate it counterclockwise just a little bit. Actually clockwise, because this is pointing up. It should be parallel to the ground. And the vehicle condition is awesome. We'll take a peek at the roof. No dents. A couple of scuffs on the one here and one there on the tint. Here's the famous upper shock mount. We actually did both sides, and we do have a great video segment on that. So thank you very much for viewing this video from AlphaCars. This is our Boxborough location.